Hello and Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Danielle with Put a Finish on It. The thing I'd like to do is talk about my book-related New Year's resolution that I actually started a month early at the beginning of September. My goal was to read all the books under my bed without being tempted away by new books that I acquire from thrift stores or the library. And already I have failed miserably at that goal. I have read 2 books from under my bed that were great. I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak and The Burning Questions of Bingo Brown by Betsy Byers. But I have read 8 other books in addition to those 2. 2 are from the library that my fiance picked out and we read them together. And 6 others are from either thrift stores or secondhand bookshops. I did, however, reach my Goodreads reading challenge goal of reading 70 books this year. So go check out my Goodreads if you want to see what I've been reading. That brings me to the main topic of this video. Why do I love used books so much? First, they're a much better deal than buying new books. I grew up in a family that went to thrift stores and used bookstores all the time and almost never got a brand new book. Only ever as a gift. Second is the environment. It doesn't seem to me that I need to be buying a brand new copy of a book when I can find it in a used copy. So reused, definitely. I like being able to pass books on, and I like being able to get books that have a history already that I know came from other readers. I love being able to see inscriptions in the front, or maybe an old bookmark will fall out that someone else had used. And all that kind of stuff fascinates me to think about the lives books had before they got to me. Also, I love the serendipity of used bookstores and thrift stores. You never know what you're gonna find there, and you might happen upon this great book that you never would find in a new bookstore. For example, I was at a library book sale and I found this. 25 cents. It's called A Place of Her Own. Right away, that's the kind of title that I would love. And it turns out that it's Swedish, and it was published in 1962 by Scholastic. And it's about a 15-year-old girl who has to go live in the city with her sister. It wasn't that great of a book, but it was a fun read. Something that I never would have found. And there were some good moments in it. If anybody wants this book, let me know and I can send it to you. The last reason I love used books is because I usually like the original cover or older cover more than the newer covers. And I'll put an example in here from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It takes place in the 60s, and it should look like it takes place in the 60s. Just over this past weekend, I happened upon a used bookstore that I had never known about before. One of those kinds of places that's just shelves and shelves of books and stacks of books, you know, piled up on the floor. It's dusty, it's big, it's crazy in there. There's music playing and the owner is singing along. And it's exactly the kind of place where I can find the books that I loved from my adolescence, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that I can't find in bookstores nowadays. This gem, Run, Don't Walk, from 1979. I'm always on the lookout for books featuring characters with disabilities in them. It's especially interesting to me to see portrayals from, you know, decades back when all the disability rights stuff was just beginning. Oh my goodness, from the dollar bin, I found a Sweet Dreams romance called On Thin Ice. I used to read these as a teenager. Of course, they're pretty terrible, fluffy, fun. They use words like, gee, super. But this one, never read it before, and it has to do with figure skating, so it was right up my alley. That's all for me today. Thanks for watching.